Redditors who have lost their storage containers to auctioneers due to unpaid rent. What expensive, mysterious or valuable treasures did you own in there that your house'll never see again? My parents separated when I was 13. Dad kept the house, but was on SSDI and couldn't afford the mortgage. He put everything in storage when they foreclosed and passed away a few months later. We lost everything. All of our furniture, family keepsakes like old beer steins and a banjo that had been passed down from my father's father, and so many other things. All of our childhood toys. All the old pictures of my dad when he was younger. Priceless things. Not as devastating, but when my father died they wouldn't let us pay his car payment because it was only under his name. One morning we woke up and the car was gone. Fighting to get it back was so costly and time consuming we just gave up. Worst part is he was a huge football fan and the entire car was decorated and he won super fan contests 3 times. Never saw it again. This happened to my parents because we were super poor growing up and living paycheck to paycheck. They had a lot of items they couldn't fit or keep dragging around to the apartments we were in and out of at the time. They had us family friends who gave them some kind of insanely low discount on a storage container to hold their things. Of course mom and dad jumped at the thought of having a place to store their items of sentimental value. Turns out the dude was just taking their money. This friend never paid the rent on the storage unit at all. It probably wasn't even his unit in the first place. Mom and dad never figured out who the actual owner of the unit was. And who's going to pursue legal action when you're trying to keep the lights on and food on the table for your kids? My parents lost my mom's wedding dress, my dad's lost tools, family photos, that sort of thing. That was almost 30 years ago and my mom is still so sad about it. Open bracket. I put my valuables in the basement of a sweet middle-aged lady for safekeeping when I left Germany to go home to another country for Christmas break. She had a heart attack and no one had contact information for her children. I had traveled the world. America, Asia, Europe, UK, Middle East, and I lost all of my mementos and family heirlooms. I'm glad I still have my memories, but I still feel a pang. Her adult children must have been very confused by the little bazaar they found. The most valuable thing I own is my cat. Now, I'm not so attached to things anymore. The upside is that I don't spend a lot of money on useless stuff. They got rid of everything that quickly. While you were gone over break, they didn't have a number to contact you? They had no idea. I had never met them, as they lived in different countries and I had not known their mother for a very long time. We were relatively new friends, but she cooked me dinner once a week or so and I kept her company. The children cannot be faulted. Certainly. My mom and dad divorced and my mom put everything in a storage unit until she could find a house. She ended up in the hospital for a while and she thought it was on automatic payment. It wasn't. She lost everything including handmade furniture by her great-grandpa, antiques she collected, family heirlooms, etc. We tried contacting the storage unit to ask if we could buy back the unit from the buyer for more than they bought it for, but we never got a response back after multiple calls and messages. I was most upset that we lost all of our Christmas decorations. It may seem silly, but all of our stockings were handmade by my grandma who passed and every ornament on our tree was from a vacation or special occasion with the family that is impossible to replace. Every time I'm home I can't help but check out the local Goodwill and Salvation Army to see if they got donated. Not exactly what the OP is asking for, but my dad once bought a few of these stupid storage units. Inside one of them were dozens of filing cabinets and papers. The deal was, he had to clean it out no matter what was in it. He ended up bringing all those cabinets to our garage and started going through them. Inside were forged real estate documents, stacks of uncut counterfeited American bills of different denominations, and some legitimate business paper. He ended up turning it all over to the police. A few days later we found out it was somehow connected to our neighbor down the block. Last I remember hearing was he ended up fleeing the country, leaving behind his wife and son. Not really what you saw asking for, but my father's first wife made beautiful 21st photo albums for their 3 children. It had photos and mementos from birth to 21 along with every school photo and report card. Pictures from birthdays and holidays. And photos of them in scouts. When my brother passed away, my dad tossed his album into the shed to make his room into a guest bedroom. When his ex-wife came for the funeral, she was devastated to find it had been water damaged. And my father wouldn't let her take it home with her even though she was the one who made it, and he clearly didn't give a fuck about it. Recently while he was on holiday I broke into his house and took it, and I'm mailing it back to her. I feel she deserves to have it. 2000 plus shot glass collection and my entire roofing business. Shared a storage unit with my oldest daughter. Gave her my half of the rent every month and she kept the cash instead of paying. I lost my grandmother's collection of china and furniture because of an error at the storage site. The unit next to mine hadn't paid rent. But someone made a typo and my unit was auctioned off. I lost about $18,000 worth of stuff. And all I got was an empty apology and no compensation. They wouldn't even tell me who bought my grandmother's stuff. This happened 5 years ago and I am still furious. The company that ran the units is out of business and nowhere to be seen now. So it is unlikely I will ever get my grandmother's stuff back. I've never lost anything in a storage locker. Keep our bill paid and most of the stuff in there isn't worth much anyway, but my daughter works for a company that does estate sales. Auctions. etc. and her boss does go out and bid on storage lockers a few times a month as well. At any rate, a few months ago, he won a locker and, while going through it, he found one of those small $30 fire safes like you buy at Walmart. Brought it back to their office. Broke it open and found $10,000 in cash. A Tiffany tennis bracelet, worth about $8,000. And 3 rings, altogether worth about $700. Like several other people here have mentioned. I'd kinda like to know the backstory on the original owners because I don't know why you would put something like in that storage. As a storage professional I'm dying to hear the answers in here. Cause every time we open up a unit for auction it's the same boring shit. Crappy old furniture. Old clothes. 15-year-old TV. Maybe a few old gardening tools. Etc. I did find a bag full of drugs once in a unit that didn't auction and we were trashing the contents. That was kind of interesting. Realistically people with anything of value aren't skipping out on storage bills unless they die. I keep things of value in mine. Maybe nothing individually expensive. But it's stuff that won't fit in my apartment and that justifies $170 to store it. Sometimes I do wish it would burn down so I could just claim the insurance check and never have to deal with it again though. 67 Mustang. One of the biggest regrets of my 20s was letting that one go. My mom had a storage unit for our stuff after she finally left her abusive boyfriend and we stayed at my aunt's. Among the furniture and clothes was also my Boo Bear. A childhood teddy bear I'd had since birth. I carried it everywhere until I was 12 years old. Yes. I got made fun of. But as an only child in an abusive household. He was my brother. Someone to talk to. Cry against. Look to for comfort and someone to play with all in one. When we lost the unit, my mom was most devastated not by losing her things. She told me. But the heartbreak she saw in my face when she told 15-year-old me he was gone. I'm 39 years old now and I still miss him whenever I remember him. My aunt and uncle split. Their animals came to us and all their stuff went into storage while they sorted their shit outs and both traveled for a few months. Both thought the other was paying for the unit as they agreed to do it. Neither was. When my uncle got back and got a place to live he went to get some of his stuff from the unit and found the lock didn't fit his key. Yet gone. Not at auction but to various charities. His ex-wife used to collect antiques so someone would have cashed in at their local Vinnie's. Unless the storage owner lied. But my uncle went up shopping a day or so later and found some of his old ski gear in one of the shops. Lol, that's all he found though. Well. This doesn't tour storage units or auctioneers. But maybe in the mysterious and valuable treasures. Double quote. When I was in Corps school, the main training school for Navy medics, I got my orders that said I had to leave within the hour. So I went to my friend and asked him to mail a box for me that I couldn't take on the plane and even gave him the money for it. He said he would. He turned out to be a total piece of shit. He lied a shit ton. More than just this box, and he didn't do it. So I lost a ton of personal effects, including letters from my family and friends while I was in boot camp, as well as my entire collection of magic cards to that point. I had been playing since Urza Saga and tons of rare cards, as well as a collection of foils. Now, there's a good chance that it was just tossed in the garbage thanks to my douche roommate. But I'd like to think that a fellow nerd found it and discovered a MacLeod. Using today's prices, it is easily well over $10,000 worth of cards. At the time at least a few thousand. I hope someone out there is enjoying them instead of some rats in a dump. My uncle was working in a high-end storage facility in St. Louis when he was told by his manager the owners stopped paying and throw out the stuff. It was for 5 million inches artwork, Picasso sauce and several high-end pieces have sauce on an episode of American Greed Season 1 Episode 3. Enjoy. From the other side. I worked at public storage for a while. One of the best units we ever auctioned off had wall-to-wall neatly stacked boxes. We were only allowed to open the unit ahead of time and inventory what we could see, without touching anything. The unit sold for a couple grand. And I shit you not, every box was empty. We also found a couple meth labs. On the other side of things, I have bought some interesting units. One of the best belonged to a guy who apparently worked for the World Health Organization in the 80s. The entire thing was stuff he had collected traveling the world. Framed art, handmade jewelry from North Africa, sculptures, and even a very old Virgin Mary statue that must have been on a church altar at one time. I don't know what happened, but looking through the stuff, I'm guessing he had at least one kid. Maybe they didn't know about the unit or just didn't care. Lots of sad stories you pieced together too. One unit was full of trophies from high school basketball, including a state championship medal and plaque. There was also paperwork from drug arrests. And googling the name showed the person is now in prison for trafficking. Some other odds and ends I found. A massive pottery kiln. A brand new $1,000 rifle scope. A giant anvil. A dead cat someone had boxed up. My wife's unit 121 was auctioned off on her birthday 3 years ago without our knowledge. We went in to retrieve the items and learned that they had been a mix-up. She had been paying for 211 the whole time. Who had been paying for hers until it got auctioned off? 211 was empty. She was crushed. Everything was in that locker. Photo albums. Super duper valuable Beanie Babies. Furniture. Horse riding equipment. A day or two later the storage container company called and said they had found our stuff. It was in 112 the whole time. What had happened was she had them move her stuff for her. They gave her the keys to a different locker. And then marked in her file a third locker. Now all that stuff is sitting in my back shed and garage because there's no room for it in my house. I had my grandmother's 71 Cadillac Coupe de Ville in a storage place. Bill was paid up front. Long story short. Got busy with life. Went back to get it 4 months after expiry and the owner of the place said he crushed it. Obvious lie. He said he tried to contact me. Another lie because Hessos been a patient at my clinic for 10 years and said he couldn't sort get a hold of me. So I got a lawyer. And received back a letter saying that I owed him money for the car leaking oil in his unit and it cost $3,000 to clean. Car had 48,000 miles on it and had never seen a winter. I reported stolen to the police and searched the VIN through a friend who works at a dealership every few months hoping it turns up. But I have a feeling it's still there. It's awesome a car worth about 7,000. But means a ton to me. Not me but my friend. She had great grandma's antique furniture in her unit. When she described the situation, It really was her fault. She made a choice of skipping a few months' payments and not telling them her new address rather than swallow her pride and ask for help from family and friends. I have my unit on autopay. My parents went through a real tough divorce. They put all our stuff in storage then let it get taken. Which was everything I owned as a kid. Including signed Joe Montana rookie card. And a football signed by the 1994 KC Chiefs that included Derek Thomas, Marcus Allen and Montana. All of my childhood memories. All my photo books. My stuffed animals. My toys. And all of my mother's childhood memories. Stuffed animals. Photo books. Act. Nothing of value to anyone else. But that meant the world to us. We lost it when I was a kid. But I'll never forget it like it was yesterday. It so still breaks my heart. All of our family photos. An expensive sealed SNES, European one. A really old e-guitar that belonged to my father, around 3k value. My teddy bear collection as a child. Mother sauce jewelry and most importantly my grandfather's typing machine. He was in the military and it was a gift to him from one of his comrades. He loved it and used to type us letters even when internet was a thing. Worst part is we never stopped paying. The storage facility changed owners due to bankruptcy and the new owners apparently didn't receive payments. We paid but to the bank account of the old owner, yet they said they send us a note with the new details we should send the money to. We didn't have much money to sue them and we couldn't prove we never received the letters since some people in our neighborhood stole packages and shit. A candy red 1977 Ford Bronco with a C4 automatic transmission conversion. 4-inch suspension lift. 2-inch body lift. Fender flares. And 38-inch super swampers. I was deployed and my autopay got messed up. They had no way to contact me and after who knows how many months, they liquidated the unit. It makes me very sad but in all likelihood, I would have had to sell it anyway. It is so incredibly hard to auction the unit of an active military member. There are specific laws that protect them in situations like that. You might want to consult an attorney. Cause you could have a hell of a lawsuit against that storage company. In case anyone doesn't know, it should be noted that obviously as other posters have commented, it does happen that valuable stuff gets left into lockers. But for the most part those storage locker show auctions are fake. The first season of Storage Wars used real auctions and lockers even though the bidding for lockers the stars were intended to win was rigged and the lockers salted. But then massive amounts of people started showing up with visions of finding an original 1885 portrait of Grover Cleveland worth thousands amidst the piles of old clothes and 10-year-old magazines. Dave Hester, the collector, was fired after he went public with all this and filed a wrongful termination lawsuit against the show. According to him the show actually rented items from his personal collection for cast members to find in lockers. I once found some shitty old pottery I had made at a second-hand store. Me and the ex-husband had a storage unit and cleaned it out separately as we had divorced. I cleaned out what I wanted of my stuff but apparently not this shitty pottery that he also left behind. This second-hand store had either cleaned out old units or went through the trash there. Anyways, it was an odd feeling. They didn't price it. BTW. But in my opinion you couldn't have given it away. My parents let a storage unit go. Lost thousands upon thousands of football cards. Memorabilia. Complete Pokemon collection from 2001/2002 or so. Large Magic the Gathering collection. My HS diploma. SNES N64/PS1/PS2 and games. Other various childhood things. Their antiques were thousands. All sorts of shit. My parents were, and still are, horrible with money. Most of that stuff was in there because we moved from a large house to a very small one, from 2k SQFT to roughly 900. Again. Due to my parents' horrible financial sense. Pains me to think about still. It's been nearly 10 years. My boss did the buying end of things for a while when it was on TV. He opened a second-hand store and used it as a form of gambling. Here's some things of note that he found. a 2CT versus 1 pear-shaped diamond pendant, a few Rolex watches, guns, antique furniture, a literal shit ton of dirty nasty clothing, seemingly people wouldn't wash it before storing it, interesting books, drugs, and one unit had about 30 boxes full gay porn DVDs, a DVD player, a TV, and extension cord in a mattress. Most units had nothing of significant value, and most were crawling with enough bugs and dust mites to give microanalogy attack. But it was still always interesting sorting through it and piecing together the personality of the owner based on what was inside. One unit had a bunch of family pictures that were headed towards the dumpster, so I set them aside and sent the person a letter. The dude had died some time ago, but his family came and picked them up a few weeks down the road. They seemed pissed that his stuff got auctioned without them knowing, but they were very happy I saved what I did. My parents divorced when I was 17. I had my son when I was 18, and when I fell on hard times a few years later I moved back in with my mom. She would help me with childcare and I helped her with bills. We decided to split the cost of a storage unit when she got sick and we had to downsize a bit to save costs. We had furniture, books, all mine and my siblings' baby pictures, newspaper cutouts of family events, school awards and report cards. Not much of monetary value but all sentimental value. Well, I got married and moved out of the country about 3 years ago. I took a few small things from the unit before I left and hoped when I came back to visit I could grab a few more things. As soon as I left, my mom stopped paying and everything was sold. A couple of months after, the woman who bought it contacted my dad on Facebook saying she purchased the unit, found his name in some of the documents, and asked if he wanted the personal items like the photos. He said yes straight away and they met up and she gave him a whole box of photos and documents I had to leave behind. I wish I could tell her thank you. I'm on the other side of this question. I bought 3 storage lockers at auction and found some pretty incredible stuff. This was a few years ago so I might not remember it all. The cool stuff: Nazi memorabilia, full-size swords and daggers, a medium-sized cast iron Pegasus statue, large rolling tool chest, some Harley motorcycle equipment, animal skulls and zebra hide, some paintings with legal documents of authenticity, some antique furniture, a skull that was later confiscated by the police as evidence, later turned out to be fake, a bin full of porn VHS tapes, lots of old DJ equipment, water skies, water sports stuff, the sad stuff, lots of picture memory books. We basically learned all about this person's history, including baby pictures, school pictures, and some detailed job descriptions that this person did. Turns out he traveled the world and did some high quality art for clients, which explains why he had so much exotic stuff in his locker. Furthermore, we found notes from his co-worker friends saying that due to his storage locker own drug addiction, he was ruining their business and was tearing apart their friendship. This was accompanied by multiple boxes of needles that we found. Overall, an amazing experience and made a nice profit. Took forever to sort and sell it all though. My basement was basically a showroom for a few months and would invite people over to look around. I don't do this professionally, so it was quite an experience. I didn't lose anything, but a fellow soldier and myself put our stuff in storage containers for our deployment. We went together. We each got our own container. My friend was Kia our second week and his stuff was auctioned off. He didn't fill out any other authorization for the container, so our calls did not matter. I am not sure what the issue was with his sister getting his stuff, but she was unable to in time before it was sold. He didn't have much, but I'm sure his family would have loved his dress greens that was in there. Till Valhalla. My mother had a pictorial history of the Baltimore Colts that my great-grandfather gave me. Had Johnny used John Hancock on it. I thought I'd moved it into my possession years prior, but these days it's clear that it was in that storage unit she lost. It's more the emotional attachment than the value of the object in coin. Related. Same great-grandfather had a massive mint baseball card collection that would be worth some million and change today, maybe more. These types of sports memorabilia can swing wildly in value at auction. And his wife. My great grandmother. Tossed them in the trash so she would have more room for her sewing equipment. Woman couldn't sew for shit. This one really hits close to home. The woman who raised me had a storage unit after I ran away and ended up moving to live with other family. She was constantly getting evicted from houses and I had to pick up all of our things off of the busy road just down the street from my high school. A lot of people from school saw and kids are cruel. Anyway. She got a storage bin and in it were all of my childhood photos. Stuff my father had left me when he died. An elephant ring in particular. Nothing too valuable but sentimentally priceless. Of course she did how she always did and didn't pay that bill either, so it's all gone. I've been out from underneath her for 18 years and I have no relationship with the woman, and for most all of the horrible things she did to me, I have moved on. But reading the Opsos question really broke my heart again. Fuck her. My biological mother and stepdad moved us around a lot. Between being a severe couple of hoarders and just terrible all around people. My biological parents frequently would lose basically everything in storage units. Important documents. Birth certificates. Marriage licenses. Tax documents. I remember being 6-7 and getting birthday presents. And immediately having them put in the storage unit after playing with them once. Never to be seen again. It was adopted by my bio mother's parents when I was 8. Basically they just took me away and let my bio mom continue to get child support, SSI, and food stamps etc in exchange for her not having any contact with me. Fast forward to me needing my social security card and birth certificate to get my driving permit. My grandparents don't have any copies, as my bio mom didn't give it to them. Typical hoarder sick and find it right now. My grandmother proceeds to call my bio mom, who says we lost all that in a storage unit a decade ago along with all of her baby clothes and pictures and baby books. It's not like she's going to ever need them again anyway. They weren't really for her. And I lost all of my stuff also, proceeding to go off on my poor grandmother for not paying for bio mom's random storage unit a decade ago. It took 13 months for me to prove to the government I'm an actual human. It's been 13 years and I'm just getting around to cleaning up my credit. Due to the constant identity theft. Not my unit but my mother's. She stopped paying on it because she had no income. And lost everything inside. Seeing how she was effectively homeless. Nearly everything she owned was in there. Including all of my baby pictures and a Christmas tree topper my deceased grandfather had bought me for my first Christmas. To the best of my knowledge, no one in my family possesses physical pictures of me before the age of 20 now. I'll never forgive her for losing the tree topper.